you know, it's one thing to make a mistake, but it's also how you take responsibility for that mistake. And here's the comparison I would make is if you or I were to make a mistake at the congregation level, if you don't take 100% accountability, you will be deemed essentially not repentant. If you don't basically say, oh yeah, it was my fault, blah blah blah. I've heard cases where an individual, a woman, cheated on her husband, right? She totally repentant. It was clear as day she was repentant, but she made a comment. She said the only reason I did it was because basically my husband was neglecting me, and so that's sort of what led to that happening. So soon as she said that, they used that against her and said, she's not taking full responsibility. She's kind of doing what Eve did, blaming.
Honestly, I'll have to agree on that point.
She's shifting the blame.
It is not accepting responsibility for discipline is a scam sometimes. I've seen that. I've seen people wrongly removed, wrongly disfellowshipped, and all the time claiming their innocence, and they weren't reinstated, or because they weren't accepting discipline from Jehovah. And the thing was, the guys who disfellowshipped, they should have been disfellowshipped. So stuff like that happens. I mean, you can't.
So the parallel I'm making is that at the congregation level, we have a responsibility, and we're held accountable for our actions when we make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But at the top level, there's no accountability.
No, except our understanding is to God and Jesus.
Okay,
So
but hold on. Paul said to each withstand and fall before his own master, right? So
who's their master?
Well, who's our master?
Jesus.
Right. So why are they elevated above us? Why is there two sets of rules or two sets of scales?
There's always been that way, like all through history. There's always been that with the nation of Israel.
Jehovah said that two sets of scales is a detestable thing to me.
It's not two sets of scales. It's just that some people have the responsibility and they're accountable, like the priests in Israel and the kings in Israel. Some of them acted really badly, but they were accountable for it. Sometimes it was generations later, but that doesn't mean that Jehovah didn't hold them accountable.
Okay, so let's say they are accountable and Jehovah is holding them accountable, right? And the way he held the Pharisees accountable, right? And the way he would hold any false religion or teachings accountable.
Yeah.
Revelation, your sins have massed clear up to heaven.
If you're applying it, if Jehovah looks at it that way, then they would be accountable. Yeah.
But it's interesting, they didn't step down and say, a lot of institutions do that. I mean, I don't know if I can't remember the name of it, but there was a whole sex abuse scandal with the gymnastics and even the Olympic. Some of the girls who are older now who were participating in the Olympics, the man who sexually abused them when they were younger got imprisoned and so on, and there was a big court case going on. But the institution knew about it, and they didn't do anything. So you had this sort of mass people of, they were stepping down, or they would have basically been axed anyway, so they stepped down out of embarrassment.
Yeah,
right? That always happens. And any organization where you have people at the top, right, who made decisions, or they knew about something, but they basically, turn a blind eye. They basically what happens is that the pressure becomes so great on them once that comes out that they step down, because you can't continue as an organization with those people there, because it becomes an issue of credibility.
Well, not in the real world.
Oh, in the real world,
no,
yes.
No, not in the real world. Look at the financial fall and who was responsible for that. Where are those guys now?
But look at the guy with the basketball team. He said something privately in his own home, got recorded, and he lost his basketball team.
Yeah, okay, that's
because
one example,
but there's tons of examples where, when you're at the top, right, you have to be very careful what you say and what you do, because people will hold you accountable, and these people step down from their position because of public outcry, right? Because either due to embarrassment, or because their corporation would lose more credibility, because people would say, we can't support this corporation as long as that person's there, because it becomes an ethical or moral issue for individuals. So they're just protecting their corporation at that point, and saying, like, if somebody at Pepsi-Cola did something horrible with a child abuse sex scandal, they would have to step down. There would be enough pressure from the board of directors and from public outcry and from the media that they would have to step down. They wouldn't have a choice. I'm paralleling that with the organizations that you have all these issues, and yet nobody in the governing body steps up and takes any responsibility. There's no public apology. Nobody steps down.
Oh, you mean for the sex abuse?
But any
Yeah,
they don't
did
take
for 95.
responsibility
They
for
did for
anything.
75.
They don't.
So what are they gonna do? If we were wrong about 75, we'll all step down. Is that what you think is gonna happen?
Whoever was involved, which was mostly Freddie Friends, you have to step down.